Hi, thank you so much for visiting my channel. My name is Asia Ali, and today we are going to be doing a beautiful springtime makeup look. Let's go ahead and get started. So for eyebrows today, we are going to use the ColourPop Tinted Feather Effect Styling Wax. I love the styling wax so much. It's one of the best holds that I've had, and it's very affordable. To actually activate the styling wax, what you're gonna do is spray it with a little bit of setting spray, and then I'm gonna take my little spoolie right here, and I'm going to mix everything together. It kind of creates this pomade. I really like to do my brows on completely clean skin because I really feel like it helps the products adhere to my brows better. Using my spoolie, I took the styling wax and I applied it to my brows using upward motions. And what it does is it creates this beautiful feathered brow, and it actually does some tinting of your brows as well, so I like that. And using my Eucerin micellar water, I'm gonna apply a tiny bit of micellar water in the cap, and then I take a clean Q-tip. I kind of roll the Q-tip in the micellar water, and then I use that Q-tip to clean up any of the styling wax that either fell down from my brow, because when I apply the styling wax, I kind of do it really quickly and messy. And then I just clean it up using a little Q-tip. And then using the other side of the Q-tip, I'm just going to dry around my brows. So the styling tint, it does give us a little bit of color, but it doesn't give that full coverage that I like to have on my brows. So today we are using the NYX Brow Tint Pen in the shade Espresso. And I'm going to use upward flicking motions to fill in any sparse areas. And I'm gonna bring you closer so you can see this. I'm just using short motions to create the tail of my brow. And then a few flicks here and there to fill in the rest of the brow. When I get to the front, what I do is I want to flick upward, basically matching the way that my brows normally grow. I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side, starting with the tail, filling it in with short flicking motions, creating that tail. And what I love about this is because we are creating a natural S brow, I really don't have to take it as seriously. I kind of just like go for it, you know, just as long as they're really short, like flicking motions, it should be perfectly fine. I'm going to take this Q-tip and my micellar water that I still have sitting next to me. And I'm going to just use that Q-tip to clean again. So easy. Following that natural arch with the micellar water, drying. I'm going to use this MAC NW40. I like a nice thick concealer for my brows. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this concealer and I'm going to use this dual-ended brush. All of the things that I've used in this video, if I can find them online, I will put them in the description box below. If I can't actually find the exact item, because sometimes they get, taken off the market, I will find a replacement for you. So if you have any questions about anything used in this video, look down below, okay? Everyone always asks me about this brush, so that's why I'm like, let me go ahead and give my spiel. Anyway, so we're going to put our brush into this concealer. You can see she is very well loved. I use her every single time I do my makeup. And we are going to map out our brows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the inner brow. I'm going to try to make a straight-ish line up to the arch of my brow. And then once we get there, we're going to curve and flick down to the end. Here is the end of this brow. A little nice mark so we know roughly where we're going to start. Up to the center. We just created that straight line from the tip to the arch. Let's curve it a little bit and down to the tail. At the top, we are just going to do a straight line across from the edge of the brow to the arch. From the arch, the tip of the arch, we're just going to drag the brush down to the tip. And for the center, we're going to box them out, the brows. Obviously, we're not going to keep them like this, but we're just going to mark out where we want them to end. And we're actually going to go ahead and start blending right where we are, right in the center. So using tapping motions, we're going to blend those two lines that we created. Not touching the brow hairs yet. Then we're going to go ahead and switch and tap using the fluffy end of the brush below our brows. For the top, I'm going to actually pull upwards towards my hairline with flicking motions to blend, just so I don't ruin the carving that I did for my brow. And then this is my favorite little tidbit. I'm not applying more product. I'm going to apply or tap in the front of my brows upward to get rid of that super boxy line at the top. You might be thinking, why on earth would you do that? Because if you actually go back to your spoolie and brush upward, this is going to give you a more natural front of the brow. And for finishing touches, what I'm going to do is grab my pen again, and I'm just going to create small strokes anywhere that I over concealed. So I like to add a little bit more towards the front of this brow. And now that I'm all done carving out my brows, what I'm going to do is actually grab this very dense concealer blending brush. I'm going to use tapping and dragging motions to blend that in with the rest of my skin. All right, so now we are all nice and blended. Now it is time for me to moisturize and prime my face. For moisturizer today, I'm going to use my Omega Water Cream by Inky List. I have combination skin, and this really helps me not have those thick, dry patches under my makeup. So I'm really concentrating that moisturizer in my dry areas. So now we are all nice and ready for our primer. Today I'm going to use the Danessa Myricks Yummy Balm 7, and I apply a little bit onto my cheeks and along my forehead. I'm just going to buff this into the skin, and you can see it gives you a tiny bit of coverage, but it's definitely not giving you full coverage. It is more of a skin-like foundation. But it also has primer in it, and it also controls your oil. It is amazing, honestly. If you've never tried this and you have really bad smile lines, I 100% recommend you try this. To prime my eyes today, I'm going to use a little bit of this Urban Decay eye primer, and I'm just going to apply 2 dots onto my lid. I'm just going to use that same brush that I used to blend in my Yummy Balm, and I'm just going to blend that all over my orbital bone. So I'm just going in circular motions all over my eye, because this primer is actually really good if you experience a lot of creasing as well. Okay, so our face is all nice and primed, ready to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Fenty Beauty Coconut, and I'm going to take a blending brush, and I'm actually going to swirl this blending brush in my bronzer, and I'm going to apply that right below my brow, actually following along the natural line of our crease. And actually, let me go ahead and pull you in. I'm applying it from the inner eye to the outer using windshield wiper motions. And now I'm using small circular motions to blend that bronzer into the rest of my primer. I'm going to grab my Kimchi Chic Holy Shards palette. I really want to do something super duper girly. I have these cute earrings, so let's try to match the earrings. Let's see how we do. Let's go into wavelength. And using a fluffy blending brush, I'm just tapping that shadow into the outer 3/4 of my eyelid. And then taking the same exact brush that I used to apply my bronzer, I'm going to use the same windshield wiper motions to slightly blend that purple shadow. This way, we're just getting rid of that very harsh demarcation line. And using a smaller blending brush, I'm going to jump into Star Blazer. And I'm just going to use tapping motions to apply this shadow on the inner half of my eye. And I'm kind of overlapping with that purple shadow wavelength. And just like before, we're going to use that same exact brush with that bronzer shade on it. And we're going to use windshield wiper motions to blend the line between that beautiful pink shadow and our bronzer shade. And we want to move very slowly because we want to keep this nice and controlled. To make sure everything is just super blended, super beautiful, I'm going to use my concealer brush, and I'm going to blend on top of that bronzer and in between my brow. And we're just going to clean everything up. The aim of the game here is we want to have really blended eyeshadow so that when we wear very vibrant colors, it looks really beautiful and soft. And to make sure that our colors stay vibrant and beautiful, we are just tapping a tiny bit more of those vibrant purples and pinks on our eye so they don't lose their punch. And so we can create a little bit of dimension in this look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Groundwork palette, but you can take any palette that has a very beautiful black. And what we're going to do, we're going to use a very, very tiny blending brush. We're going to create a very tiny wing. We're just going to stamp the shadow, pull it out a little bit, created a small wing by connecting it to the top lid. So we are keeping this wing very small. And what we're doing is actually dragging the brush through our eyelashes to help with this blend. I think I need some glitter. So using Nebula, I'm gonna warm it up on my hand because this is a very pigmented shadow. And then we're going to tap back and forth in the center of the eyelid just to add a little bit of the shimmer and glitter from this shadow, but not so much the pigment. We're adding just glitter. And that also is gonna work to blend those two, the pink and the purple shadows together. So now we're gonna go ahead and start working on our concealer and our base. For concealer today, what we're gonna use is the Smashbox Halo Healthy Glow 4-in-1 Perfecting Pen. And what I'm gonna do is apply this along my chin, my mustache, up my nose, a little bit on my forehead. And now we're gonna hit up the under eye. I am using a highlight that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin tone. And I'm gonna use the same concealer blending brush that I used earlier for my brows. Using tapping motions, I am blending that into my skin. I like to drag it on my smile lines. This is actually something I do to keep my smile lines from separating. Using the fluffy end of the concealer brush that we use for our eyebrows, I'm going to tap under my eyes. And this is really gonna help me get the most coverage possible under my eyes and control where that actual concealer goes because I've already applied a little bit of my eyeshadow for my under eyes. And I'm blending that concealer up the side of my nose and pulling down into my cheeks. Using that same exact concealer brush, we're going to tap into the cheek portion of our concealer. I like to do these two different methods for my concealer just because I feel like it really gives you the most coverage possible without over blending. So I'm just lightly tapping around in this little area. Now I'm grabbing my Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint in the shade 7, and I'm going to apply that to the back of my hand, and using a fluffy foundation brush, I'm just going to push that into the skin. I have been loving serums. I kind of wish that serums were really popular when I was in college because I used to have a super matte face. This is my first time trying this one. I'm trying to figure out if it's my shade match because I have 2 different ones. What do you guys think of this shade match? I kind of feel like this is my winter color, but I'm kind of in between 2 shades right now. And to warm this up, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of my serum in shade 11. I love serums because they're good for your skin and they're extremely lightweight. And we're pulling that all the way down our neck so we are the same shade everywhere and we don't look like we are wearing a face mask. Oh, I forgot to press start. So we are applying our bronzer right underneath our natural cheekbones. And I'm just using tapping motions right now. I'm not really worried so much about blending, but tapping because I want a beautiful chiseled look. And we're kind of going up on the cheekbone because we want to look, you know, and then into the hairline as well along the forehead. For under the chin, you can just kind of do dragging motions, not worry about it so much. Just make sure it's nice and blended. And then to blend in between, we're gonna go back with that foundation brush that we used earlier. We're gonna use tapping motions to blend everything together. Now we have finished basically most of our base. We are looking super dewy, but we don't want to look oily throughout the day. So what we're actually going to do is set our face. Before I set my face, what I'm going to do is go in with my concealer brush using tapping motions to make sure that my under eyes are nice and blended. Once my under eyes are beautifully blended, I'm going to use my Huda Beauty banana powder and a powder brush. And I'm going to just lightly apply powder under my eyes. This is my type of baking, so I just apply it right under the eye using the brush. Going under the eye, along the cheekbones, and down the sides of the nose. I'm going into the powder and tapping off the excess, just so I'm only using what I need. And then I also really like to set my smile lines at this point. And to set the rest of the creams on my face and make my face look beautiful, dewy, and not oily throughout the day, I'm going to go into my MAC Dark Mineralized Skin Finish. And what this is a very finely milled powder that, in my opinion, it just makes me look perfect throughout the day. And it also works to make sure that I am the correct skin tone. So we are setting absolutely everything, kind of avoiding right under the eye. But if you get it, it's okay because of our next step. And now we 100% are the same skin tone. I love this powder. It is my favorite step in my makeup routine because I know as soon as I reach for this, you know, it's all gonna be good, you know? And I also applied this along the sides of my nose to start our bronzing. My absolute favorite blush right now is the Danessa Myricks Prima Donna Yummy Skin Blush. I love this because it gives such a beautiful pigment and it layers really beautiful over powder and cream products. So I'm just gonna tap into it, warm it up on my hand because it actually does apply pretty splotchy if you don't warm. And right on the cheek. It's just a very flattering pink blush. And it looks very intense in here, but when you put it on, it's very, very beautiful. And the same thing on the other side, tapping into it, warming it on the hand and on the cheek. And when I blush, I like to over blush a tiny bit. Go in with my concealer blending brush and just tap underneath, just so you get that flawless finish. So look at the difference here versus here. So if you ever hate blush and you're like, I don't really like this, how it's blending, don't be afraid to reach for that concealer blush. And now we're almost done with our face routine. Although it does seem like I'm applying a bunch of different products, I do very, very thin layers, especially when it's hot outside. That's how I make my base last long and look beautiful all day long. Point is, we have 2 more products for our face. We are going to put on this MAC Studio Fix NW25. It is a powder plus foundation. So this is going to double set. This is going to be our second setting for our under eyes. And it's also going to give us a beautiful highlighted look. And it blends, it blurs, it looks absolutely beautiful under the eyes. And that's why I always use it. And I'm just going to lightly apply that under our eyes. You see that already? We're going over this blush right here. We're going over it. And that's actually going to help everything blend together and look seamless and beautiful. Going back in with the blush brush to make sure everything is blended. The aim of the game when you're blending is you use one brush, you go back to the other one. You use one brush, you go to the other one until you reach the desired look. And now we're going to go in with our Cocoa Naughty. And we're going to use this to bronze over our bronzer. Basically what we did at the beginning was a beautiful underpainting. And now we're going to make sure everything is cohesive by just lightly wiping this bronzer on the same exact places as the previous bronzer, along the forehead, under the cheekbones, really blending in that blush, carrying it under the chin, and along the sides of the nose. And that's it for the face. To finish the under eyes, what I actually want to do, we're going to use the brush that we applied our purple shadow with, which was the shade Wavelength. We're going to use the same exact one, or you can use a flat brush, but I don't feel like getting another brush dirty, honestly. And I'm just going to squeeze it with my fingers. This is my little trick. And I'm going to wipe back and forth under my eyelashes. This will apply that shadow right under your eyes and blend for you. To blend, I'm going to use that brush that I had that Cocoa Naughty on for our crease. Done. Oh my God, almost forgot highlight. How could I almost forget highlight? That's insane. Who am I? I'm going to use my Makeup Forever palette again, and I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is a beautiful champagne highlight. Yes, we are using a cream on top of powders because this formula is amazing. I've tried it so many times. It works perfectly. I don't know how it works without messing up my makeup, but it does. So I'm going to use a very small blending brush, swirl in it, and then I'm going to apply that everywhere I would like to highlight. So along my nose, tops of the cheeks. It is beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's a beautiful balm that blends so beautifully on top of all makeup. It is just beautiful. And to set our face today, I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. So now it is time for all of my finishing touches. If you are curious what I'm using during this portion of the video, I will have everything listed down below. I just want to speed this up a little bit for you guys. And this is my final look. How do you guys think I did with matching my earrings? I kind of actually think I did a really good job this time. Sometimes when I try to match my earrings or match specific clothes, it doesn't really work out that well. But I think today it worked out really cute. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.